I was flying a mission where we were going in to pick up our VC suspects, and we had some ARVN troops on board and a couple of American advisors. And we go into this little village, and we're going in, and as we dropped down over the trees, all of a sudden I saw two bright flashes out in front of us. I go, what the heck is that? And my crew chief was sitting down, was in the back, and says, I don't know, sir. He says, but that down there wants us to get out of here. He's waving his hands in the air like this. Get out of here, get out of here. Turned out those were two B-40 rockets that blew up in front of us, and that's when we got shot. Walter Cox. And I was born in a little small town in Carbon County called Price, Utah. But I was not raised in the state of Utah. My dad was in the military, in the Navy, and we went to California about when I was 4 years old. And then we moved from there to I think it was, my dad was stationed at Treasure Island for a short while. But we went to Hawaii, back to the States. I finished up one grade of school in Price because it moved us in the middle of the school year, which was a bad thing for me because they took my bike away from me.
Why is that?
Because it was my birthday on the 3 days before the movers came and packed up all of our stuff. And then we went back and stayed with my grandparents. Then we moved to South Carolina after Dad went to OCS. And we were there for a couple years in Charleston, South Carolina. Dad got transferred again up to Northfield, well, actually Atlantic City area, the naval base there. Excuse me, that's my Parkinson's talking. We were there for only about a year, but that was my first introduction to snow. And I was 10 years old, I think, when 10 or 11. And that was unique. I'd never seen snow like that. It was closed everything down. We used to go to church in Trenton, New Jersey, so we'd have to travel clean across the state, which isn't very far, and New Jersey is kind of small. And then we moved to New England, to Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. So we were in Kittery, Maine for a couple of weeks till we got a house. Then we lived in Hampton Beach, or not Hampton Beach, but Hampton, the town of Hampton. Hampton Beach was the next little bump over. Lived there a couple of years. And let's see, where'd Dad go? He went to Bethesda, to the Naval Hospital there, because he was an officer, lieutenant commander. Well, he might have been just a lieutenant then, but he became a lieutenant commander, went to school at the hospital. Then he moved to Quantico, Virginia, was stationed on the Marine base as a medical service officer because he had been a medic in the World War II. And where do we go next?
Man, you guys went all over.
Yeah, we lived there for a couple years. We got really introduced to blizzard snow. It was the only day of school we missed. That was a shame because we were almost ready to go home, all the kids, when our bus showed up after 3 foot of snowfall the night before. And then we moved from New Jersey, from Hampton to Bethesda, Maryland. We lived in Bethesda for about a year, and then Dad got transferred again to Quantico, Virginia. In Quantico, Virginia, he was stationed with the Marine Corps, and we lived in Quantico area for 3 years. And then Dad got transferred my senior year of high school, which wasn't very nice because I had planned on graduating from that high school. We ended up moving to Norfolk, Virginia. And in Norfolk, things were different. I went to high school. I was a bad boy. I flunked English 3 out of 4 years. I had to go to summer school to graduate. But I did, so that was a good thing. And I graduated from high school in Norfolk, Norview High School, in 1965. Then I got called on a mission for the LDS Church and went to Mexico City as a starting point, and then was in the Mexican mission, as it was called then. And it covered about a half of this country of Mexico, mostly down in the southern part.
And how long was the mission then? How long were you there?
27 months, I think, total.
Wow.
It was 24 months as a normal mission. We had to go 3 months more for learning Spanish. And then we went to the MTC at BYU at Knight Mangum Hall, which I think the building still exists, but I don't know if it's still got the same name. It had been a long time since I've been back to BYU. And
at this point, are they drafting at this point? Is the draft going?
They had the draft, but they had the lottery. I got a draft notice when I was in high school when I turned 18 to go take a physical. I went to take my physical, and then I got my mission call, so
You get a deferment for that?
I got a deferment for that.
Yeah.
It said, and then in Virginia, they thought it was for life when you get a ministerial deferment. So I had to fight to get it changed once I got out and came back home off my mission with someone here in Utah that could explain it to them back east.
Oh, I see. Oh, because they thought you were going to be a minister for life versus just for a year and a half or 2.5 years or whatever.
I think so, yeah. But we had spent 3 months at Knight Mangum Hall before we went to Mexico. Flew to Mexico City late at night. The mission president met us there. They took us to the mission home. And then they gave us our assignments where they were sending us and got the whatever. I don't even know how we got to it. If the assistants of the president took us or what, or they met us and they took a cab. Who knows? I don't remember. That was a long time ago. I'm lucky I can remember what yesterday was. So I got that changed, and then I got married.
And where did you come back to? Where did you come?
I came back to Provo because that's where my parents were.
Okay.
Then I met my wife at BYU.
What are you studying at BYU?
I was just general studies when I first got there. My wife was considered a native speaking Latin. She was from Rio Grande Valley in Texas.
So at this point, you're what, 20?
Probably 21 or 22.
Okay. And are you now on a school deferment for the war? Or are you on no deferment?
Didn't need to change it.
Okay.
Because they're still working on they're still working on the other one.
Yeah.
Then, so I never got another notice, and I remembered what I saw when I went to register for the draft in Virginia. I said they had a poster on the wall right as you come in through the door. And it was helicopters. I said, that's what I want to do. So all through my mission, that was always in the deepest thoughts that I was going to join the military when I got out. And I didn't know much about Vietnam. I didn't know anything about the protests hardly at all, except for what I saw in the news. So it was different. It was a different style, but I had just gotten married in December of 1968, and I joined the Army and actually enlisted in I think the 7th or 8th of May of the 1969.
And when you went in, did you say you wanted to do helicopters at that point? And they said, okay.
Well, they said, we'll see.
Okay. They don't guarantee anything.
No, you had to have physicals. And the guy I was going in with was a student at BYU also. He got washed out in basic training because he was colorblind, so he couldn't fly. So I lost track of him from there. And then I met my best friend, who became my best friend.
This is in basic training? Or
just before, just the
Okay.
day I raised my hand and said, I'm ready to go. And it was just before I think we went to, I met my best friend, Dennis Floto. And, we went to the same basic training camp.
Where'd you go?
Fort Polk, Louisiana, or as we lovingly call it, Fort Polk, Louisiana.
I've heard nothing but bad things about Fort Polk.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. And
what was the boot camp experience? Give me some of that.
A lot of physical stuff, a lot of sergeants drilling and corporals and that are TAC officers or whatever you want to call them. And they yelled at you. They put some people in charge that shouldn't have been in charge, make them temporary sergeants or something like that.
Were your drill sergeants out of Vietnam guys?
I think so.
Did they talk about it much or no?
Never said much about it at all. But I became the typist for the senior drill sergeant just because I raised my hand and I didn't pay attention to what people said. Don't never volunteer for anything in the military. But it was the best thing I ever did. I got out of so much junk. I didn't have to pull KP anymore. I got driven back from the rifle range in a Jeep so I could start with the records. So it was a little bit different experience, I think, for me. But when we graduated from basic, I was accelerated advancement. We went on leave, came back, and it was so funny because I had earned a stripe. I got an advanced rating, and I earned a stripe, and I was getting saluted by new recruits. I just thought that was cool. And then I went on to flight school.
Where was that at?
Started out in Mineral Wells, Texas, at Fort Walters.
Yeah, take me there. What went on
Fort
there?
Walters was a flight training facility, and WOCS, Warrant Officer Candidates. So I was a warrant officer candidate. We went to school with commissioned officers for pre-flight for getting our pilot's license and stuff. We'd go for, I can't remember how many weeks it was. I think it was like 6 weeks or something maybe, where we'd go into pre-flight training. Well, we'd get harassed all the time as warrant officer candidates. The officers thought it was funny until one of my guys says, "Well, what are you worried about? We're doing just as much as you. We're going to OCS at the same time we're learning to fly, and you guys are just learning to fly." So we went through that.
Are they put you in those little helicopters at this point? Or
That's what we started flying was the TH-55.
And describe that.
It was small. It looked like a bee with a stick in its butt. It was a real thin tail on the chopper. And that's what we learned to fly in. We'd go with an instructor pilot. He'd always fly left seat. And so when he was teaching us how to do auto rotations, that's when they turn off the power on you and you have to set it down. Well, he taught us, because he loved them so much, he taught us how to do it from any position. We did it at 100 feet. We did it at 2 feet. We did it hovering. It just happened all the time.
How many would you do? Literally hundreds of those in practice, or?
I never kept track of it. I just know that our instructor pilot was very adamant about, and how to land it. So we'd do 100 feet over the top of the trees, and then he'd roll off throttle on you. And, all you had time to do was flare it a little bit and so take it down.
Was that nerve-wracking for you, or was it just
That was fun? It was fun. What was nerve-wracking was when I was going out to solo the first time, and I'm hovering over towards the pad, and he cuts the throttle on me, and I bounce it. That's not like me. So I did it, and then I went for my flight, took it up and around. It says come in and take a land to the ground. So when I learned that one, I came in right to the ground. It was interesting.
Was it? It must have been exhilarating to learn to fly.
It was. Some people it was nerve-wracking for some, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was freedom.
I heard somebody say it's just all you just kind of become the helicopter. It's both hands and both feet. Is that true?
Well, you had a cyclic between your legs, which was
the stick.
Which is your stick, which moves you around. And you had your left hand on the collective to give you pitch in the blades and power.
Is that tilting the blades this way? Is that what that is? And
no, the cyclic,
that's the stick.
That's a stick. It moves you left, right, backwards, forwards.
Is the collective just the throttle?
It's like the power to get airborne. If I remember correctly.
You're twisting that, right?
Nope.
It's
not when you're learning to fly. It's
a pullback.
It's pull up and down. And that's where it is. It's also where you start. It helps you start an aircraft too.
So how long you at that school? You in the trainers?
I think it was. We graduated in March of '70 from Fort Walters and moved on to Alabama, to Fort Rucker, Alabama, to do transition into Huey's.
Did a lot of guys wash out of that? You know?
I think we lost maybe 10 guys washed out. Nobody crashed and burned or anything like that during school. But no, I don't think so.
Okay. Next place is where did you go?
After Fort Rucker? Fort Rucker, I went through there to advanced training, got my wings. And once we graduated and got our commission too as a warrant officer, then I was getting orders to go to Savannah, Georgia, to Fort Hunter Army Airfield to learn to transition into Cobra gunships.
Did they pick that for you, or did you decide you wanted to do Cobras?
No, I think they picked it for me. Maybe, I don't know. But that was fun, is because the way you fly one of those things is if you're in the front seat, your controls are like 3 feet apart. One's on one side of the aircraft, the other's on the other. So this one's going up and down like this, and this one's doing all the flying. And it just interesting.
Tell me about that aircraft. Who made that, and describe it for me?
Oh, don't ask me to add particulars like that. I don't remember. It's Hugh's aircraft, but it was
pretty narrow.
AH-1,
right?
Yes, single tandem system. You got a front seater and a back seater. The front seater always had the controls like this if they were flying. The back seater had regular controls and.
Oh, it was like a standard helicopter.
Yeah, except it was thin.
Right.
And it did most of the firing. The front seater would fire the grenade launcher and the miniguns if they were working. I never got to fire them in training because they never worked.
Is that right?
Yeah. Never worked for me.
What was the transition? It was a much more powerful helicopter than the trainer, I would think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the thing was getting used to flying.
Why did they separate the controls in the front?
Because it's so narrow, you don't have room for it. With all the.
Did you feel squeezed in when you were sitting in that thing?
No, it just felt like I was stuck out in the air a little bit more than normal. But it was a good ship.
Were you excited to be flying the Cobra?
I was. Until I got tired of flying like a vulture. You go around in circles and around in circles, and watch two of those little loach aircraft down in the trees. And if they come across something, they throw smoke, and we would roll in on them. But we're sitting there with our heads cranked to one side, watching down on the ground. And then every now and then we go, okay, switch. And we go rotate around the other way and put our head this way to keep our neck from getting kinked. But other than that, it was pretty good.
Okay, so you're training there. You enjoy that, and then when did they say, okay, when did they say you're heading to Vietnam?
Oh, I knew that when I graduated. They told me, he says, you're going to Vietnam. I said, but I don't want to go to Vietnam. He says, well, you do now. But no, I didn't
At this point, are you hearing what's going on in the war at this point or nothing? You're just training.
No, just training, doing physical PT and running and shooting. And
it's probably fun, isn't it?
Huh?
It's probably fun, all that stuff.
It's
flying that helicopter is probably a rush.
That is a rush and a half. It's a blast. I used to hear him go over my house when I was training in Alabama. My wife and I lived in a trailer house, and she knew it was me when I come by because I'd said in such a way that I'd pop the blades. I just put a little bit pitch in and go pop, 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 pop. And she knew I was coming home. I'd been out in the field for a couple of days or a week or something.
Okay, so how did they flew you over commercial airline to Vietnam, or how did you get over there?
That was a commercial airline. We flew out of Washington State, and then we flew to Hawaii. Had a stay over in Hawaii just long enough to, I guess, get refueled or a new flight. Flew to Japan, and then to Vietnam, South Vietnam.
Where did you land?
Saigon.
And this would have been 71, 70?
70. The latter part of 70.
And when you get off the plane, what was your impression of Vietnam?
Hot. Sweltering hot. I got off and I saw this lady, I later learned to call Mama Son, was down there sweeping around the tarmac, or not the tarmac, but the building where they keep you covered up. Anyway, she was sweeping, and she looked up and she smiled at us, and all I saw was my eyes kind of got big, and her teeth were black, but they were healthier than mine because of the beetle nut that they used to chew on. It turns their teeth black.
Did you ever chew it?
No.
You don't want your teeth going black?
No.
Huh.
Never offered to me, so I wouldn't take it anyway. I never drank Nuke Mom. Never drank any of their crazy drinks that they have over there. I did slip up and do some drinking, but that was just because you had nothing else better to do.
You landed in Saigon. Where did they ship you after that?
They shipped me up to Pleiku in the city of Pleiku.
Describe that for me.
Well, first off, we go up to Cameron Bay. Then they flew us over to Queen Yan, I don't know if we went to Queen Yan or not. But we came in. I'm trying to remember this because it's been a while, been a long while. I was assigned a company that I was going to go to in Pleiku at Camp Holloway. And I was with the 7th to the 17th Air Cav B Troop. And we were stationed right there in Pleiku. They had a runway there, but we were flown in on choppers. Usually if they were taking a bunch of us, we were flown in with a Chinook helicopter.
And I'm going to back up. When you shipped over to Vietnam, did you ship out with the guys you trained with, or did you just go by yourself?
Whoever was going out at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't go as a
team,
like they did in World War II.
Yeah,
it was quite different.
Pleiku, was it? It was a big full base, or was it?
Yeah, Camp Holloway was just a kind of a small Army facility.
Okay,
we had 2 runways. One was a regular for fixed wing aircraft, and the other one we called the Christmas tree, which looked like a Christmas tree from the air. It was branched out, and then it'd have helicopters in the revetments, and So that's what I saw when I got there. And then they assigned us to a platoon.
Was it Cobras? Was it all three? The Hueys, the Cobras, and the
Loaches.
Mm-hmm.
Scalp hunters. Undertakers were the Cobras. And when I was flying slicks, I was a pallbearer. My call sign was Pallbearer 33. I never have forgotten that. So. But that was interesting.
Was Pleiku? Was it hit by mortars much? Was that a thing?
Not much. We got hit with some rockets that they shot in one day. Took out the fixed wing aircraft's porta potty. It landed right next to it, and I think it blew it apart. Nobody was in it, thank goodness. But we had the Christmas tree, and that's where our Cobras were mostly at. And then when another unit moved in, they took over that side of the airfield. They took over the fixed wing runway. That's where they staged out of.
What was your first assignment there? What was your first when you went out? You remember your first time going out?
No, I don't really. I guess I had to go out for a check ride.
Okay.
And so I had the IP took me out on a check ride, and he says, "They're going to do a minimum ground run auto rotation." Okay. That's all he told me. So he cuts the throttle on me. We're up in Khartoum.
You in the front or in the back?
I'm in the front. No, I wasn't in the back. Oh, no, I was in the back seat because I had learned to fly from there. They would never let me do it from the front seat. Well, thank goodness. Probably wouldn't have made it very well. But we went there, and he rolled off the throttle on me, and as I started going down, keeping my lane alignment, got down on the ground, and my IP's in the front seat. And I flared out. It settles down, and I set it down maybe 10 feet run. And he just quiet at the other end. What's the matter? He said, I told you a minimum ground run auto rotation. I says, well, that's what you got. He says, no, it's a full helicopter length. And I only went about 10 feet.
Wow.
But I set it down. It was smooth landing because I had a good instructor pilot when I was in school. So, yeah.
Was it jungle around there? Pleiku?
There was a little bit of jungle, yeah.
Okay. So did he make you do that landing again?
No.
Okay.
He was just checked me off.
Okay.
Because I answered him with a decent answer that if I go down in a rice paddy, I'm not going to have a full helicopter length to land and slide on. I'm going to get it down as quickly as I can, as safely as I can. Said, okay. And I passed my check ride. Then I ended up flying in the front seat for a while, but that got old after a while.
Why is that?
Because it hurt my neck. I was sitting there doing this on one time, the other way the next time. And so I just said, is there any openings in slicks? Which was a mistake. I should have stayed with the gunship.
Oh, why do you say that?
I'd have got more flight time.
So in the Cobras, how often are you going out?
Every day.
Every day. And you're following the loaches. It's that routine.
Yeah. You fly about 2,000 feet. They're down in the treetops, so they're open to anything. One of my buddies was flying a loach, and he took pictures all the time when he was out doing it. He said, went home on leave once. His wife was looking at his pictures he was showing. He goes, what's that right there? He says, well, it's a bunker. And he says, well, who's that guy standing there? And because she saw it and he didn't. It was a North Vietnamese soldier looking out through the opening in the bunker and staring at him, but he didn't open fire because he didn't want to get himself shot. And they saw it. She saw that, and he just got cold chills, he said, because he missed it.
He didn't see it at the time, when he was taking the picture.
That's how close the enemy was to them. And then later on, I was assigned to another unit.
This is Cobra or Slick?
No, it was when I was flying Slicks.
Here, go back. Before you get to that, tell me what else happened in Cobra that was interesting. What was probably was there anything scary that happened when you were doing Cobra?
Nothing really scary. We got a call once and we were doing circles around an area, and they had me shoot some, what we called chunker, the M40 grenades, at a certain location. And that was the first time I'd ever fired the cannon. And I was hitting right where he wanted me to hit. And I don't know how I did it. It just, like it was natural. But other than that, it was just mostly just that and night flying. You get some night flight in the Cobra.
Was that a little more unnerving at night because it's hard to know where you are in relationship to things? Or
once you're flying a little bit, I've flown a lot up in that area when I was in the Slicks. But we'd go out and you get out of the city limits, and Vietnam is dark. It was so dark. I was afraid I was going to not do it, but somehow I managed to keep it straight and level. We turned back around the opposite direction we were coming. It says, "Oh, there's the town." We saw the lights.
Okay, how did you know? So how long did you fly Cobras, and then?
Probably about 6 months, if that long.
Okay.
And then I went into Slicks for my company.
And describe for people what Slicks in that.
Slicks a UH-1H helicopter. We're going to do mostly resupply, extractions, insertions.
Is it armed? The Slick usually
has 2 M60 machine guns, one for the door gunner and one for the crew chief. Crew chief sat behind the pilot in the left seat, and then the co-pilot sat in the right seat.
And okay, so give me some of those missions. What made you switch to the Slick? You just wanted more flight time?
I thought I would get more flight time, but it turned out I didn't get more. I got less. And but I didn't want to fly Cobras anymore. I didn't like the way they operated. But it wasn't my choice to make. But I just enjoyed it and got to do missions every day. But sometimes with Air Cav unit, I'd only get 3 hours max a day, and that just got to get old.
Yeah.
And then Alpha 227 of the 1st Cav moved into Pleiku, took over the other runway, the fixed wing runway, took over that. Most of our choppers were there, or their choppers were there. And I was transferred into that unit, and I became a chicken man.
What does that mean?
When I became a pilot for them, chicken man is the call sign. And I was chicken man 1-4 at that time. They never changed their numbers. They've since then, I was once looking online. They, what was it? They changed the designation because they sent the colors home for Alpha 227. Sent the colors home, but they sent all the people that still had time to Pleiku. And so I ended up flying with them, and I'd get 8 hours or more a day flying, and would wear a chicken plate. It was like a big flak vest, I guess, but it's just about an inch thick. You put it around your neck, and it just weighs down on you, makes it really tough. And the first day I did that, I was so sore the next day. It was crazy. But then after a few days of using it every day, because that's what they required in this company, we got used to it. You get used to it, and you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Did you, were you getting shot at?
Occasionally.
And how would you, that's always been interesting because you're in the helicopter, it's loud, right? I know you have the noise canceling things on, but.
Oh, they're not really noise canceling. I mean, they smooth it out a little bit, but
yeah. But it just seems like, man, there's so much going on. It's probably hard to know you're being shot at unless something happens. That
sounds like you're standing right in front of them
when they're shooting.
You hear the crack of the bullet as it comes out of their gun. And,
you remember the first time you experienced that?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me that story.
I was flying a mission where we were going in to pick up our VC suspects, and we had some ARVN troops on board and a couple of American advisors. And we go into this little village off of southeast of, I think, of where we were at. And we're going in, and as we drop down over the trees, all of a sudden I saw two bright flashes out in front of us. I go, what the heck is that? I might have said it in rougher language, but I what the heck is that? And my crew chief was sitting down, was in the back, and says, I don't know, sir. He says, but that down there wants us to get out of here. He's waving his hands in the air like this. Get out of here. Get out of here. That's what we figured it was. And so I said, well, we're in trouble, guys. We right in between where we can take off and go or whatever, because we were still going down. And I had to recover transitional lift on the aircraft, so we just didn't go straight down. Turned out those were two B-40 rockets that blew up in front of us. They didn't explode on us. We were out about 50.
Oh, that they were firing at you.
They were firing at me. And I got the chopper stabilized, pulled in pitch, and I looked in my eyes, and there's only one way I could go. I couldn't go forward because that's where those rockets were. I couldn't go backwards because there was a bunch of trees behind me. I couldn't go to the left because there was a bunch of trees. And there was just a slight opening going to the right. And I turned it over and I kind of rolled it. I don't know how I did it. I didn't hit any trees, but I rolled it just through, and I was up at almost 100 knots. And I did a cyclic climb. I just pulled back on my stick, and we went right up in the air. And that's when we got shot at. Nobody got hurt. My crew chief missed it by 6 inches when they checked the bullet hole. If they'd had a bigger weapon, I would have got shot right in the butt, because it came up just short of my seat. So we were very fortunate. And we were able to still fly it back to the base. They checked out the aircraft, nothing wrong. A couple of days later, someone was assigned that aircraft to go out on a check ride. They go out on the check ride and they get weathered in, so they're going to do a real slow check of everything. And they found a bullet hole in the drag brace on the rotor head. And he says, why didn't you get that? He says, I don't know. Why didn't you? But yeah, that was the first time I took fire, and it just sounded like I was right next to him. It was loud. You could hear the crack.
Wow.
You hear the crack of the bullet. I don't like to hear that sound, but I can hear it once in a while.
Yeah.
I try not to think too much about some of the things that were on there, because I wasn't in a lot of heated traffic or heated battles. Had mortar rounds come right where I had been after I dropped off some packs. And I was taken off, and they said they dropped mortar rounds right where I had been.
Right after you left?
Right after I left that spot. But I've picked up ARVN troops. I've delivered some ARVN troops to hilltops. I flew for certain American advisors that were the greatest people in the world to work with. And
what makes you say that? Tell me about that.
Because they took care of us when we were there, when we had to wait because they didn't have anything going for us. We had to sit there and wait. And they'd have something there to drink or something. Not alcohol, but just something to drink. And they just took care of us. They were friendly. And this was a lieutenant colonel, I think, we enjoyed flying for him. I got a Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry from them for one of the missions that we went on. We're dropping off the troops. I learned that I was a pretty good pilot when I took in had a second lieutenant as my right seater, and I was letting him learn how to fly it after I'd already made my first attempt. We probably went 3 or 4 times, but we're going on there, and I said, "Okay, you got it," and he says, "Okay," and the troops started to jump off the chopper, and the chopper will, if you jump off the right side, you go that way. If you're on the left side, you tend to go that way, because you can feel the person jump off the aircraft. And so you got to compensate immediately. So I sit there and I can hold it right over about a foot and a half off the ground, and then let them get off. And I could feel it, and I was like this. And he tried it, and he gets on there on the hilltop, and they start to jump off, and he starts to go over frontwards. I said, I got it. And then I settled it, and then we dropped off the troops that were going in to resupply the mission they were on that day.
And when you're doing that, you're trying to get them off as fast as you can, so you're not a sitting duck.
My crew chief was very good, and he would kick them off if they got. And he had done that once, where he had to kick a guy off because he wouldn't let go. But he dropped about 2 feet. But another time when I was up there flying for them in Khartoum, and there was also Ben Het, was another one of our little fire bases up there. We were going in to resupply the ARVNs on the hillside. They had a pad, so I had to fly with a Vietnamese pilot, which I didn't want to do, but they told me I had to. And I'm letting him come in to make a landing on that pad, and he's not slowing down. I had to finally grab the controls and say, I got it, and flare it out and set it down with a full load of ammo and stuff on. It was.
Did the left side controls override the right, or if you guys are both doing this different things, what takes priority if you're both flying at the same time?
The aircraft commander.
So that side does.
Left side.
Yeah. So when the other guy's always doing it, when you're training him, is your hands always still kind of lightly on the controls?
Yes.
Waiting to take over if you need to?
Yes. Yeah, you have to. One time we had our launch instructor pilot, when it was with the Air Cav, Firebase was being overrun, and he got shot down on the top of the mountainside, or mountaintop, and he had Vietnamese soldiers that loved him forever after that trip, because he got shot down on the mountain. He called in artillery. He called in Spooky. Called in all the support he could get to keep the North Vietnamese from overrunning that fire base, because it was on the top of a mountain. And he was up there for like 7 days. And the day he got shot down, I was with one of our pilots. I was in the right seat, so I was a new guy. And we were inbound to pick him up when they called us off. That was really disheartening. Have a buddy of yours stuck in a position, but they were weighing the circumstances. They said they thought it was safer not to
go get him right then.
Yeah.
What happened?
Because we were coming out of the clouds. Well, they could hear us coming. They would be ready for us. And so they called us off about 100 feet from the area, and we didn't get shot at least if we did, I didn't hear it. So.
He got off the mountain okay eventually, or
about 7 days later? Wow. He got off, and those Vietnamese soldiers were so happy. They were actually sad that he was leaving, but they were thankful for all the help he'd given them.
How many copters were going down around you that you knew about?
Not too many in our area. It was fairly quiet most of the time. You get some every now and then. We had one guy, we called him Magnet Ass because he got shot down. That was when I was in the Alpha 227 group. And he was just going down a road and got his engine shot out from under him. He also got shot. The aircraft he was on was shot down on that mountainside too. And he E'd out of there. The only one that was killed was the pilot. But they were a good group of guys.
The describe. Did you fly with the same crew chief usually? Who's on the helicopter? Describe what their roles are.
Well, you got the right seater, which is what we called the Peter pilot. You got the left seat, which is the aircraft commander's seat. You got behind the aircraft commander is the crew chief, and he has a machine gun on that side. Now, on the other side, you got the gunner, and he has an M60 machine gun. Then, of course, you got your right seater.
And the crew chief, he's kind of like a mechanic-ish built-in dude on the copter?
Sort of, yeah. He's the boss of the aircraft. And you work with them to get a good result. I had one crew chief that I didn't like to fly with at all because he was a smart aleck. But I had to fly with him sometimes. We're assigned by aircraft. Sometimes they have certain aircraft that are always the same. But you get assigned from headquarters or from the shack to where they post all the flights. Who's flying what and where? What your job is?
For you as a pilot, what was funner, the UH-1 or the Cobra? And what was it like? What was the difference between flying those?
Oh, there's a tremendous amount of difference. The Huey's a little slower. Cobra goes pretty quickly. It's got more chance of shooting and blowing things up than the Slick does. Slick is only protect yourself. They had some that had 50 caliber machine guns on the side of their Huey, but we didn't have any. I think we had one, and it was the XO's chopper when he was flying. If you were flying for him.
Did you have experienced many mechanical problems while you were flying?
No, I didn't. One guy's I had friendships with were, how was it? I have to think, so excuse me for not talking. He was flying night flight VR. This other sister company of ours would have a panel of like 9 bright lights on the side of their aircraft. And they would fly low level around the area looking for the enemy. It's kind of a shock to get lit up all of a sudden. And they took fire one night. I was flying flare ship that night. And my crew chief saw something. Says, I think I know where there's some VC. Something ticked him, got him to think about it. We called what do we call him? I can't remember the name. We called the chopper that was Nighthawk or something. They, VC or NBA, whichever ones that were, opened fire on him. He had a new guy working that side of the aircraft, and he didn't fire right away. And then he fired. There was nothing came out of where they were after that. They didn't know until they got back to the base. We had the refueling, and they had to shut it down right there and get it hauled off. There was a bullet hole right through the diffuser. So they hit him with one shot.
Wow.
But it didn't cause too much, right then and there.
What would you consider, like, was there moments that you went out and did it and then got back and thought, holy cow, that was a lot sketchier than I thought, when your mind shut down after you were not in the act of just keeping everything running?
I don't think so. Well, if I do, I don't remember, or my mind doesn't want to recall. I don't know.
Tell me the story. You told me the story about your friend that they got killed over there, the pilot.
Yeah, I think it was, I can't remember the one guy's name, but his co-pilot, I think, was Robert Long. And they were called on to launch and fly their Cobra. And the next thing we know, they're gone. And we flew in the next day. I was in the slick platoon then. And we went in the next day and brought troops in. They went in to see what they could recover. The front seater was shot through the throat, I think it was. And the pilot was within 30 days of going home. And he took it through the throat. One of them took it through the throat, one through the heart. So they couldn't even reply or call for SOS or Mayday or anything. And they went down at just outskirts of Pleiku. And were sent in to recover. I didn't have to get out and recover anything because we had people to do that. But it was a loss.
And you kind of knew who it was when you went in there because you recognized the plane?
Well, I knew that's a different one.
Oh.
That was a different mission. But this one was a gunship, Cobra gunship. And they literally were cremated because of the magnesium in the aircraft. But the other time, I was flying with my XO, and we were at a refueling point. It was not on the main base. It was one off-site once. We were fueling up, and I saw some smoke, black smoke. I go, something's going on. I told my XO. He says, wrap it up. And then we took off and went over and circled around, found a place to land. And he sent me in to check it out. And I come in and I see a body in a crawling position with a little piece of Nomex flight suit on its back, around his waist. And his boots were smoldering. And it just looked like he was trying to crawl away from the fire. And it turned out later on that it was a friend from my sister unit. I didn't know the other pilot, but I knew the one, Smitty. And I was there when the medics turned him over. And that was a shock. It's the first time I've said anything about it in a long time. But he was in a crawling position. And when they rolled him over, he was had his mouth wide open, and there was nothing left of him. The other guy that was flying with him was in the middle of the aircraft, and all you could see was a leg sticking up.
Was it a Slick or was it a Cobra?
It was a Loach.
Oh, Loach. Oh, and you in the shock that really hit you.
I went back and I told him, I said, it's a chopper. Well, whose is it? I said, I don't know. We'll go back and find out. So I had to go back, look at it, found a weapon, picked it up. It was full of mud and dirt. But I picked it up, took it back, and we turned it into the sister company because I didn't need an extra gun. I was lucky if I ever took my .38 with me. Because you had to be too close to use that.
Right.
And I always planned ahead. When I was going through flight school, we did the E&E course that they had for us, different than anybody else did, because we actually walked down through the stream that was running by the road, not too far from the road. and saw 2 water moccasins, and we got out of the water real quick. But they were swimming right along. But that was just a shock to see something like that. And then we had a memorial service for them.
Was that kind of bringing it all like, wow, this really is, was that kind of the shock? It just became super real at that point, like more than ever?
I think so. I had been shot at before that, but I'd never seen an aircraft have to go down that way.
And had they been shot, or was it mechanical?
They don't
know.
I don't think they ever were, because it was just a smoldering chunk of metal was all that was left, and that guy's leg sticking up out of the middle of the aircraft. It's like the aircraft went right down on top of him. And then Smitty's door probably didn't have a door, so he probably just tried to get out. Who knows?
Do you feel like that affected you flying after that?
No.
Just you compartmentalized and kept going, because what else are you going to do?
That's all you can do. You know, you can do. You feel bad for their family.
Did when you your dad, you talked about your dad being in the military, and he was in World War I, Korean War, and
World War II.
I mean World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam.
Yes.
Was he? What did he think when you went over there to fly in the copters?
He was jealous.
Was he really?
Yeah, because he said he wanted to learn to fly too. I admire you for having done that. So that was good. That was a compliment from my dad. But my baby brother was in the Marine Corps, so he was over in Panama at one time, I think, Kuwait. He was in Kafji when they came at that Iraqis when they came and had their guns turned the opposite direction.
Oh, I don't remember that story. I don't know.
And then they got close to Kafji, and they started firing on the troops. That was a shock to them because they were doing the international surrender, with their guns turned the opposite direction. But they said all of a sudden they just turned around and let loose.
Wow.
My brother was in Kafji when they had a rocket attack, and he says he was talking to his wife
when that happened.
When happened, and he went boom. He says, "What? You got to know my sister-in-law. She's so cool, but she's been around the world a time or two, but she's a sweetheart. She tries to put on a heart to our bed, but she's a sweetheart."
Okay, so how did it end over there in Vietnam for you? How you just stayed a year? Tour was a year?
Tour was just a year, and then when I got my orders, I was coming back to the States.
Was it a relief?
It was surreal. I didn't get spit on or anything, but there was nobody around.
Where did you land?
Landed in I think Seattle.
It was just quiet.
Nobody said welcome home. Nothing.
This would have been what, 72?
71.
Oh, 71.
71.
Okay.
And yeah, it'd be 71 when I came back. So yeah, but I've seen enough to know what some of these guys got. And the ones that really come back with all the medals and stuff like that, they're the ones that got chided the most.
Oh. Did you, were you quiet about it when you came back? I know a lot of guys didn't say much about it when they got back.
I didn't share much about it. That's why I'm having trouble sometimes recalling. Because I push it out of the way. It's not worth it anymore. But I'm looking forward to honor flight.
Yeah, when are you going?
25th and 26th
You're gonna love
May.
It. You're going to love it. It's pretty cool.
That's what I hear. It's going to be a speedy trip, though.
It's a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's definitely a whirlwind with 2 days and 1 night. But I'm looking forward to it. I've got a good friend who told me, he says, "You'll love it." I said, "Well, thanks."
You stayed in the Army.
I went into the reserves, inactive reserves, for a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't stay in the Army. I tried to join the Navy.
Oh, you did? What's that story?
Well, I when I got back, I wanted to join the Army or the Navy, and
What made you want to join the Navy?
my dad.
Okay.
My dad was in the Navy for 20-some-odd years, about 25 years, I think.
Did you want to fly for them as well?
I wanted to, but I missed the test at BYU before I even got in the Army. I missed the test by 1/10 of a point from being considered for it. So I says, okay, never mind. I'll just do my way.
When you were in Vietnam, did you do a R&R?
I had 1 2-week leave when I came home to see my wife and my newborn baby.
Oh, how was that?
That was cool.
Was that?
It was my second child.
Okay. Yeah.
I had one boy that was just he and my wife for a long time. And then when Dennis was, my son's name is Dennis also, but he could never name any of his kids after me. So,
okay. I've always imagined myself, if I'd taken leave, I can only imagine how hard it was to go back. That would just be rough.
Yeah, coming back was pretty tough. I got into Cameron Bay, and we were looking for a flight to get back to our base, and it was saying it was all full up. So one of the guys that was waiting also was a crew chief from my company. He was a black sergeant. He went out and he got us hitched us a ride on one of the C-130s or 123s. Got us 2 seats. He says, my warrant officer and me need to get back to Pleiku as soon as we can. And they're saying there's no flights going. He says, are you guys going that way? He says, yep. I said, well, can you take us? They took us and flew us into Pleiku, and we hopped off and thanked them. But that was the first time I'd been in an aircraft like that, 23, that goes, oh man, they shoot up really fast. Feel like you're going to get thrown out the back end of the aircraft. But yeah, that was some of the things.
What did you do when you weren't flying? Was there anything happening on base at all, or just boring?
Yeah, it was eat, drink, and be merry, I guess.
What was the eating like?
Well, we had most of our daily diet was whatever they had in the mess hall for breakfast, if you ate breakfast. And then it's C-Rations for lunch. And sometimes you trade some of the items in the C-Rations with someone else because they got something you want. They might want peanut butter and you want something, a cake or crackers or something. So that's the typical meal. And then we go to the officers' club at night and eat.
So lunch was C-Rations mostly?
Mostly.
What was your absolute you hated C-Ration, and what was your favorite one?
I haven't thought of that so long since they haven't had them for so long. I enjoyed almost every bit of it, except for sometimes the pork stuff was a little yucky. But yeah, I liked crackers and peanut butter, or crackers and cheese. You can use your box as an oven. You can take your toilet tissue and fit it all around, put the can in, open a couple of holes so it can breathe. Then you light it on fire and let it burn away, so you don't have any.
And that would heat it up?
Oh yeah, it heated up just enough. When I was flying helicopters with the 7th, 17th Air Cav, we used to go out in the staging area. It gets to be lunchtime. We pull out our C-Ration, see what we had. Do any swapping we wanted. And then take your cracker can and you punch holes in it. And you, if I can remember this correctly, and you put it in with the little air hole, and we'd get some JP4 in one of the cans, put some dirt in it, and reach under the aircraft, go pee, little JP4. And they said you shouldn't have done that. But I guess maybe that's why we were all crazy. But yeah, it was the way you would heat up our food. Two different ways. So when they come out with the MREs that they have nowadays, we used to throw it up in the window in a vehicle where sun was really bright, and you'd get it nice and warm, or you put it on the engine.
Are they better than the C-Rations?
No.
You thought the C-Rats were better?
I enjoyed the C-Rats.
Wow, that's interesting.
I was raised on the C-Rations, and they're just heavier. That's the main thing.
You came home. Do you feel like, I know a lot of guys talk about PTSD. Do you feel like you've dealt with that?
I think I'm still dealing with it sometimes, because they tell me I've got it. So I tend to ignore some things so that I don't have to remember.
Yeah. Did you ever did you ever talk to anybody about it, or no? You just kind of deal with it yourself? Not
really. I just don't worry about it anymore.
A lot of guys, I've talked to a lot of guys, and they, for them, it kind of, when they retired or when they got a little older, it actually, more of those memories or thoughts came back, which was harder for them. Have you found that to be true, or is that not true for you?
Yeah, it was hard to tell you about some things. It was difficult.
Yeah. It's, you guys bore a heavy price going over there, I feel like.
Yeah, I guess what do I put it? It's just, to me, it was just another transfer, but it got to be a little bit more than that from time to time.
Looking back, what's your take on your experience?
I wish I'd have done some things a little bit different and paid more attention to how I behaved. I mean, I had a company commander that didn't like me because of my mustache. I had a mustache that I curled it up because the reg says any portion that stands beyond the corner of the mouth must not extend below the bottom of the lower lip. And we all memorized certain ones like that. In flight school, we had certain ones too. And we'd look, they'd hit you on occasionally. One day we were in chow line, and one of the officers came by, or the sergeants or whoever was running the line that day. They come by and he says, "Why is your man sitting over there eating, talking?" And I go, "Well, he can." He says, "No, he can't." He says, "Yes, he can." And we just quote the reg that we learned, saying that that's pre-flight only. We're no longer pre-flight. And so those are things. I was at Fort Walters in Mineral Wells, Texas, and that was a good thing.
So when you were over in Vietnam, you had the mustache that curled up.
I had a little bit. I tried to get it up, but then I ended up having to shave it off. So,
how was the leadership for your interaction with guys in leadership? Was that good, bad? And
some of them were good, and some of them were bad. We had one captain in Air Cav who was a jerk, and if he's still alive and he hears it, that's too bad. But one time I was coming back from the flight line in the morning, because I had been on duty all night long, and I had to drive around the outside of the perimeter. Everything, it was weird, but I got a flat tire, and the sergeant major, I guess, made me pay $10 to have it repaired because it went flat on my shift.
Wow.
But this captain came across when I was coming back from the flight line. He saluted me and said, he greeted me, and I says, "Carry on, sir. I'll be in the area all day." I was kind of crazy. I was a little snotty kid. But yeah, that was funny. And then they told him, I said, "I was on duty all night. I'm going back to my hooch to sleep." No, you're not. You're scheduled to fly. I said, well, whatever. So I had to fly 2 days in a row. And then that one night, so that was like 3 days.
Did you fly mostly days, or was it a split?
Mostly days.
Mostly
when
days.
In the Cobras, though, we flew day and night. When I was in Alpha 227 group, when it was there, we'd fly nighttime. Sometimes flares, usually a flare ship. You'd be on call for a flare ship.
Yeah, tell me about that. What's that? What does that entail?
A flare ship? It's an aircraft with air flares, the parachute type things, and the crew chief or the gunner throw them out.
So do they automatically light when he throws them out, or he has to light them and throw them out?
Yeah, you have to pull the pin, I guess. We had one night, we almost had to go for a speedy landing when one of the flares got hung up.
You mean like caught in your...
It got caught on something, and he was fighting like crazy to get it unhooked. Otherwise, he would have said, "Hit the ground quick, sir." Because those helicopters will burn really fast.
Okay, the flare, somebody said, how big are they?
I don't remember because I never touched one.
Yeah, but they're just tossing them out. You go to a site that needs some lighting.
Out. Yeah, that's when that one friend of mine got shot at night with his illuminated lights.
Yeah,
Yeah, that night was different. I'm trying to think now. But I had flare duty, and I had to be up all night flying. So I got all my night hours in one day, and I liked the night flying.
What did you like about flying at night?
They couldn't see you. They could hear you, but they couldn't see you. And when I was going into land one day, the tower called me back from Pleiku Tower or Holloway Tower. I don't know which one the call sign they were using then. And he called me and says, "Boy, I think someone's shooting at you." I said, "Where?" "Right out in the area where you're at." There was red tracers going up. And so it must have been American ammo. So Vietnamese was always white most of the time. But he said, "Well, I don't see anything, so we're gonna black out, and we'll call when we're coming back." So I turned off all our exterior lights, and we flew back. We come in, we says, "We're entering downwind. We're turning base, base to final." He says, "I don't see you, but I hear you." And I came down, and we just came through the lights of the airfield. And then he says, "Oh, there you are." But that was interesting to fly without.
So at night, how do you know where you are in relationship to anything?
Well, you're used to the area flying, and you know which way to go, and you got directions.
Yeah. Did that take how long did it take till you felt comfortable, like you knew where everything was and around?
I don't think I knew where everything was. I just knew what was
the big
in the area where I was at. During the day, I've flown all the way to the camera. Well, not camera, but what's the name of it? I don't remember now. I flew all the way out to the bay out there where the water is. Flew out there during the daytime, and you tend to, I guess, put things in your mind to remember where you're at, but you don't usually fly that much at night.
Yeah.
Unless it's emergency or something else.
Were you guys like on call as well? You know, to go out to do extractions or...
Didn't have to do too many extractions, because mostly we were working for the Americans, advisors for the ARVN troops.
So did you haul a lot of ARVNs around as well?
Yes, we did. We've hauled civilians around before.
Yeah, what were those missions? What was that?
Just getting them some help to get to another place, another village or something. But they had to be ones that we'd been in before, so we knew whether they were safe or not.
Right. Did you have access? Did you go to the villages much, or did you didn't have very much interaction that way?
No, when I first got to Vietnam, they had mama sons that came sell their goods, the physical goods, and they were open. They could just walk into the base. They usually had someone sign them in, and then they'd do their thing with one soldier, and they'd turn them loose and say, "Go find another one." That was a shock. I remember sitting in a chair playing cards after I got there, and we went. Says she came to the door and says, "GI1 girl, quickie, boom, boom, $5." You go, what the heck is this? But that was actually happening. And we went into Pleiku once or twice, and we got jumped by a bunch of cowboys, as they were called, the youth gang, and they surrounded the Jeep we were in. There was 3 of us in the Jeep trying to guard the goodies that we had in there, and they got us finally distracted enough where they could reach in and grab one of the packages of stuff we had. But
wow, that's pretty brazen.
We couldn't pull a weapon on them.
Yeah,
we could pull a knife on them; they'd run away. But you pull a rifle or a pistol,
that would have been it.
That would have been it. You'd have been gone because the other people would have shot you. But it's about all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Sounds like Forrest Gump, huh?
No. Wow, do you miss, walking away from the helicopter, did you miss flying? Just the actual?
I miss it. Every time a chopper would go by, I could hear it, and I hear them all the time now where I live. But you hear the whop, 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 and you feel it in your chest.
Walking away, did you prefer, just for flying experience, did you like flying the Cobra or the UH-1?
UH-1. It was the workhorse. I enjoyed flying the Cobra, but I enjoyed flying Hueys best.
Did you keep in contact with many of the guys you met over there?
Just Dennis, my best friend.
Did he fly as well?
Yeah, he flew Loaches and Cobras, not Cobras, but the Loach and the Huey.
Did you ever see him over there?
Never. We missed 5 minutes from being assigned to the same company.
Does he still live around here?
He passed away about 5 years ago.
Oh, darn it. What did he pass away from?
Cancer.
Oh.
I think. He was pretty sick. He retired as a sheriff's deputy.
Oh, wow.
In Salt Lake County.
Did you guys share experiences, or did you not talk much? I mean, you know what I mean? What
we didn't talk about our experience over there, except for a few things when he got shot. He got shot flying his Loach. He had to fly it in by himself and land on the pad, and they were going to refuse. This doctor wanted to refuse him his Purple Heart because he passed out. Well, sure, he passed out. He was losing blood.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Yeah, but that doctor was nuts. It took him a while to finally get it taken care of and corrected.
Just for my own, I would like to hear what the protection. I hear you had a plate in the helicopter, right? What was, you had the chicken? What did you call it? The chicken?
We call it the chicken plate.
The chicken plate, and that was a bulletproof plate in front.
It was I don't think it was a bulletproof.
What would it be used?
It's just to slow the bullet down, I guess.
Okay.
But I don't think it was anything as bulletproof.
Was it metal, or was it more a composite kind of thing? Like, was it heavy?
Yeah, it was very heavy.
Okay.
It weighed, I don't know how much it weighed, but it was enough that if you were wearing it for the first time and you're sitting down, it gets you right across the legs. You can feel it pulling down.
Mm.
You had that, and then the side of the chopper, you had a little metal plate along the sides, on both sides, to kind of cut back a little bit on what's coming from the side.
Did they have anything underneath you?
Just no, not really. We had wood floors. We'd get plywood floors, about 1 inch and a half thick, and put them down on our floors to keep our floors from being torn up when you resupply or people jumping in and out. Yeah. that was.
Did you ever try and fly for anybody when you got home?
I did, but I didn't have. Like I said, I made the mistake of being in the wrong place over there.
Oh, for hours. Yeah.
For hours, I missed it by about 200 hours from getting a job with somewhere here in Utah.
Right.
But nope, didn't happen.
Well, very cool, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm glad I met you that day and your grandson, and that you're so willing to talk. That was really cool.
Yeah, well, you're the first person I've talked with in a long time.
Well, I appreciate you sharing. It's a real honor, honestly.
Thank you.